This morning, Archangel Michael was crying. He said, "The child in your dream last night was never born, but they still remember you." This morning, something unusual happened. It wasn't a vision or a dream you could simply dismiss. It was Archangel Michael, standing before you, tears streaming down his face. His eyes, filled with both sorrow and compassion, bore witness to an undeniable truth. The child in your dream last night was never born, but they still remember you. At that moment, time seemed to hold its breath, and the weight of his words sank deep into the core of your being. It was not just a message, it was a revelation that transcended all understanding. You've lived your life with a sense of something missing, something that never quite fit. Perhaps you thought it was a person, a goal, or a dream. But today, Archangel Michael's words illuminated a reality you hadn't yet considered. The life that could have been. The life that was supposed to be. The child you saw in your dream, the one you never knew but felt deeply connected to, was never born in this world. And yet, they still remember you. A connection that was never severed, even in the absence of physical birth. His moment, the moment of Archangel Michael's grief, was not one of mourning but one of awakening. The child in your dream was a symbol, an echo, a manifestation of a potential you once held but never brought into being. And now, the very memory of that child is a call to action. It beckons you to listen to something deeper, something you've long ignored. Connected as a broken. It was only hidden. This child, this life that never manifested physically, carries a divine message for you, a message that cannot be ignored. Type "I am ready to awaken" to get the blessing 4882. This is a moment where the spiritual realm is breaking through, piercing the veils of time and space. Archangel Michael's tears are not just a response to the past, but a warning, a guidepost for the future. It is as if the universe is preparing you for something monumental. Your existence was always intertwined with this hidden child, this unfulfilled dream. And the sorrow you feel in your heart isn't the sorrow of loss, but the sorrow of missed opportunities, of not fully stepping into the destiny you were meant to manifest. What does it mean for a child to remember you when they were never born? What is the significance of such a dream, where the soul of a child, untouched by earthly time, carries a memory of you that transcends birth and death? These are not just questions for philosophers or theologians to ponder. They are questions for you to answer now, in this moment. You are being called to remember what was forgotten, to heal what was never allowed to grow, and to bring into manifestation what was left dormant. This child was a reminder that there is still time to fulfill your mission, to activate what was meant to be birthed through you. It may feel disorienting. You may feel like you're at the edge of a cliff, peering into a vast, unknown expanse. But what if that void, that abyss, is not an emptiness? What if it is a space waiting to be filled by something divinely ordained? Archangel Michael's tears speak of the urgency with which the heavens are calling you to remember. This child is not a ghost. They are a part of your spiritual lineage, your potential, and they are asking you to claim your purpose. The dream returned again last night, didn't it? Not the same scene, not the same setting, but the same presence. The child. Silent. Watchful. Eyes that looked too ancient to belong to someone so small. You didn't need words to understand what they were saying. It was in the pause, the reaching hand, the familiar ache in your chest the moment you woke up. The memory wasn't fabricated, it was recalled. Because that child never left you. And deep down, your soul never left them. You were meant to carry them, not just in your body, but in your purpose. This child was not merely unborn, they were unfinished. a design in waiting, a message unspoken. They weren't a loss. They were a calling you once rejected, postponed, or forgot. Archangel Michael wept not because the child blamed you, but because time has tried to erase what heaven still remembers. This child, this essence, this light, you once knew them in realms beyond birth. They are tied to your rising, tied to your voice, tied to the purpose you've been afraid to claim. They have waited in the light for your return. Type I am returning to purpose to get the blessing 4905. The reason you feel unsettled is because your spirit has begun to remember. Memories that never occurred in this world are surfacing like fragments in a dream. The places you've never visited, the names you've never spoken, the sadness you can't explain. It's all connected to this forgotten path. This child, this soul, this voice in the shadows, they never blamed you, but they've been waiting for you to step into the fullness you once promised, waiting for you to stop running, waiting for you to look into the mirror and finally recognize that the one who was missing was you. And the moment you began to listen, the dream changed. The atmosphere around you began to shift. Your sleep became heavier. Your silence became louder. This is not just emotional turbulence. It's spiritual awakening. Archangel Michael is not only speaking, he is guiding. Every delay you suffered has led to this doorway. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every confusing turn. They were the fire that was meant to melt the fear that kept your future frozen. And now the number of days that felt wasted will be transformed into power if you choose to answer the call. Type I am awakening to the child to get blessing 7781. But you must understand, this journey will cost you. The path that leads to the child, the one who still remembers you, will not accept distraction. You will be required to give up your false names, your borrowed timelines, your excuses. You will be asked to shed identities you wore just to survive. Because the person the child remembers is not the one you've been pretending to be. They remember your boldness. They remember your voice before it was silenced. They remember your hands before they were busy doing things that didn't matter. You were never meant to fit into the world's definitions. That child was a witness to your original self, the one formed in glory, not fear. Their memory of you is unfiltered. And the moment you align with that version, portals will begin to open. Prophetic memories will rush in like floodwaters. Instructions will come at inconvenient hours. Doors will close that you once begged to stay open. And through it all, you'll feel them guiding you from that place between realms, reminding you that you were never too late, only waiting to choose. Let their eyes guide you now. Let their voice return to your dreams. The world may never know the name of the child you saw, but heaven already wrote it in the book of remembrance. Your delay was not a disqualification. It was a detour. But now the road clears, and every step you take toward purpose, toward healing, toward resurrection, they will take with you. This is not grief. This is reunion. And Michael's tears were the last veil. You are now seen, and so are they. Type I am rising with a child to get the blessing 6348. You've seen that room before, the one that always appears just before you wake. You can't always remember the walls, but you know the light. It hums with a quiet intelligence, a gentle pull that stirs something old in you. There is always a door, slightly open. There is always a sense of presence, of waiting. That room is not a dreamscape. It's a spiritual archive, a place built outside time where heaven stores unfinished assignments. And in the center of that room is the child. They do not grow old. They do not sleep. They only wait. They wait not with sadness, but with certainty. They are not angry with you. They are expecting you. The pain you feel isn't theirs, it's yours. Your soul remembers a promise you made long ago, one you didn't even realize at a deadline. But now the room is opening more often, more vividly. You're not just dreaming anymore. You're being invited. Every vid is a rehearsal for the return. The child you saw was not a shadow. They were a reminder that your destiny is still intact, and they are still holding space for it. Type I am stepping into the room to get the blessing 5274. This child isn't symbolic of your pain. They're symbolic of your potential. What was never born in the natural has been growing in the spiritual. That idea, that calling, that purpose you buried years ago, it took form. Heaven does not waste assignment. You may have aborted the mission, but the seed continued to grow. That's why their presence is strong now. The time has come to return and claim what you once left behind. This isn't about guilt. It's about grace. The child's memory of you has never been distorted. They see the you that heaven still honors. You've been asking why you feel so restless, why everything feels unstable. It's because your spirit is being summoned to that room. What was once just a flicker in your dreams is now expanding into your waking life. You're beginning to walk in 2 dimensions, present here, but constantly pulled there. The child is not calling for your regret. They are calling for your remembrance. When Archangel Michael wept, it wasn't just for the child. It was for the timeline that nearly disappeared with them. But timelines can be restored when remembrance turns into action. Type I am remembering with power to get blessing 8910. There's a reason you've been drawn to certain images lately. A toy from your childhood. A name you haven't heard in decades. A whisper of a song that leaves you shaken. These aren't coincidences. They are breadcrumbs. Your spirit is picking up divine fragments and trying to reassemble the blueprint. That's how heaven brings you back to what matters. Through memory, through emotion, through moments you can't explain. And that's why you must not ignore the smallest nudge right now. Because even the quietest impulse could be a door. You may cry without warning. You may wake up with your heart racing. You may feel like your skin doesn't quite fit anymore. Don't panic. Your identity is stretching to make room for what's coming. The child is not just remembering you. They are pulling you forward. With every decision you make to realign, the space between you and them narrows. Soon the room will not only appear in dreams. It will manifest in moments, in choices, in purpose. And that is where heaven will meet you face to face with the promise you thought was lost. This child was never sent to punish you. They were sent to remind you of what you carry, what you were born for. You're not being haunted. You're being handed a second chance. And Archangel Michael's tears were not sorrowful. They were reverent. Because what you're about to recover was never truly lost. It was simply preserved. And the child, still glowing, still watching, has never forgotten who you really are. If this word has touched your spirit and stirred a fresh sense of boldness within, we invite you to respond with a super thanks of $20. Your support allows us to continue offering prophetic insight, comfort, and strength to those navigating the journey from betrayal to breakthrough. You can also give through PayPal by clicking the support here link in the video description. Every gift, no matter the size, helps us reach more hearts with messages of hope, truth, and encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you stay connected to spirit-led direction. timely revelation and words of life designed to uplift you in every season. Type I am the one they remember to get the blessing 9033. If you listen closely, there's a sound that hasn't left you. It doesn't come from outside but from somewhere inside your breath. It rises in the quiet moments, between your words, beneath your laughter. A tone you can't quite name. It's not grief. It's not longing. It's recognition. The child carries it too. That's why the dream felt so familiar, so weighted. When you stood near them, the air felt different. Because that sound, the one you both carry, is a frequency tied to an assignment. And now, it's starting to rise again in your life. You weren't meant to walk this earth with silence in your chest. That hum inside you was once a song, a declaration you never fully released. The child remembers the original melody. Before trauma dulled your ears, before fear dried up your voice, they are still vibrating at the frequency of your unspoken purpose. And that frequency is why you've been so sensitive lately. Why noise bothers you. Why you cry at things you can't explain. The realm is tuning you, preparing you to carry sound again. Real sound, the kind that shifts atmospheres. Type I am awakening the sound to get the blessing 7814. You were silenced long ago, by rejection, by dismissal, by spiritual exhaustion. But heaven never forgot your voice. Even when you stopped speaking, the realm recorded your silence. The child never stopped listening. They know your tone even when you don't use it. They are waiting to hear it again. Not just in song, but in movement, in choices, in courage. The sound isn't what you say, it's how you live. And every act of obedience echoes louder than the loudest shout. This is why heaven is calling now. Because the child hath been waiting long enough. You are being called to unmute yourself. Not for applause, but for alignment. Your sound is sacred. It was crafted to vibrate against darkness and disarm delay. The enemy isn't afraid of your effort. It fears your authentic frequency. That's why you've been under pressure to stay quiet, to stay low, to not stir anything up. But the time of hiding is over. The child is your witness. And Archangel Michael's tears were not grief. They were signal. A divine shift has occurred. And now, your silence must break. Type I am sounding in alignment to get blessing 8540. You'll start to feel it before you speak it. A heat in your throat. A pulse in your chest. Your body will respond first because your spirit has already said yes. Don't ignore it this time. When your voice starts to tremble, it isn't weakness. It's power pushing through layers of fear. A child never needed perfection. They only needed sound. A sound that said, I'm still here. A sound that said, I remember now. When you release it, heaven will respond immediately. Doors will open. Patterns will break. The veil will thin. Because sound always precedes movement in the realm. The reason you've been losing your appetite for casual conversations is because your voice was never meant for small talk. Your sound is an assignment. It's why you get exhausted around people who don't hear you. Your frequency isn't meant for shallow waters. It's meant for prophetic depth. The child you saw wasn't reaching for you. They were waiting for your sound. That's what activates the next phase. That's what dissolves the distance. When you open your mouth in truth, the entire path shifts. The child still carries your sound like a lantern. They've kept it burning, even when you forgot how to speak. And now they are returning it to you. Not because you earned it, but because you're finally ready. Michael's tears watered the soil. The seed has cracked open. You were never truly silenced. You were simply waiting for the moment when sound became sacred again. That moment is now. Type I am the returning sound to get the blessing 9027. Here is a door you've passed by countless times. In dreams, it's always in the corner. In life, it appears in the form of an opportunity you couldn't explain, but felt drawn to. That door was not random. It was always tied to your voice. Not the voice you use daily, but the voice you stopped using when disappointment convinced you to shrink. That door opens not by key, but by sound. When heaven hears the true version of you speak again, the mechanics of the realm shift. The hinges move. The locks break. The delay dissolves. This is why Archangel Michael cried. He remembered the sound of that door when it first opened in the spirit. Before time, before doubt, before fear. The child remembers it too. They stood behind that door, waiting. Not begging. Not broken. Waiting for you to return to the moment you first believed. Every time you hesitated to speak your truth, the door waited. Every time you performed instead of obeyed, the door waited. But now, your sound has returned, and the door has heard it. It's ready to swing open. Type I am opening the ancient door to get the blessing 7966. The child in your dream wasn't just staring. They were listening. Listening for the voice that once spoke to them in purity. Before language, before education, before systems confuse you, there was a sound you carried. It was clean. It was raw. It was divine. That sound is returning now. It's coming back in tears, in bursts of truth, and sudden convivience. You're beginning to speak without thinking, because your soul is remembering faster than your mind can keep up. That's not recklessness. That's reconnection. And with every word you speak from that space, the realm reacts. You may notice lights flickering, phones glitching, emotions intensifying in those around you. That's because real sound disturbs false systems. You weren't meant to walk through life quietly. You were meant to activate atmospheres. The child always knew this. They carried your sound like a sacred bell in their chest. And now, they are ringing it back toward you, hoping your spirit picks it up again. The moment it does, miracles are not just possible. They are scheduled. Type I am a walking miracle code to get blessing 8891. Your obedience is now louder than your words. People will feel your shift before they hear your explanation. Don't waste your energy trying to justify what God is doing in you. Some will call it a phase. Others will call it rebellion. Let them. What they don't realize is that your frequency is being tuned by heaven's hand. And once tuned, you will only resonate with what is real. That means friends will leave. Plans will unravel. But peace will rise. And in that peace, the next instruction will arrive. The child never needed you to be perfect. They just needed you to be present. To acknowledge the sound, the presence, the unfinished bridge between worlds. When Michael cried, he wasn't weeping over your failure. He was releasing the final confirmation. The time has come. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. This moment. The door you've ignored is going again. Water toward it without fear. Because on the other side is the life that remembers your name. The one not yet lived, but already waiting. You'll begin to feel the pressure behind your eyes when you speak the truth. Not because it's painful, but because it's real. You'll feel your ribs tighten, your breath catch, your hands tremble. That's your body adjusting to divine density. Your words are now containers, and the weight inside them changes the room. This is what the child was listening for. Not fancy language, but truth that shakes timelines. And now that you've said yes, the door is listening too. Type I am the voice that opens doors to get the blessing 9172. You saw it, didn't you? In the child's eyes. Not pain, but knowing. As if they understood more than you ever could. As if they carried the echoes of promises you forgot you made. They didn't speak in the dream, but you heard them anyway. Their silence was louder than any words you've ever received. That's how heaven speaks, through presence, through posture, through the weight of memory. Their gaze told you everything. They remember. Not what you did, but who you were. And that recognition is what makes the atmosphere tremble when you wake. The reason Michael wept wasn't just grief, it was reverence. He stood at the intersection of two timelines, the one you lived and the one you were meant to. The child lives in the latter. They hold no bitterness, only expectation. Every time you felt the urge to change, to leave, to rise, it was them. Pulling you gently, speaking through dreams, through sighs, through sacred hesitation. Their memory of you is not stained by delay. To them, your return is inevitable. They never questioned it. And now, neither should you. Type I am remembered by heaven to get the blessing 6886. The echo in their eyes will not leave you. It will follow you into conversations. It will sit beside you in moments of decision. You will see their face when you're tempted to settle. That's not haunting, it's help. The realm is using their memory to anchor your rising. You have no more room for shallow yeses. No more tolerance for timelines that require your silence. This is the turning. The child is the sign. Their eyes didn't accuse you, they called you. And now your destiny is answering. Don't waste energy explaining this to those who don't carry your memory. They didn't dream it. They didn't see the child. They didn't feel your bones shake when Michael wept. This was for you, and you alone. Prophetic encounters often come cloaked in isolation so obedience can remain pure. If you wait for consensus, you'll miss the call. This next chapter requires holy selfishness, heretical devotion to what heaven whispered to you alone. Let the child's eyes be your confirmation, not approval. Confirmation. Type I am moving with memory to get blessing 7559. You'll feel tested now more than ever. Old patterns will reappear with new disguises. Familiar faces may resurface, offering you the illusion of peace if you just lower your frequency. But do not bow. Not this time. You were not given that dream to fold. You were given it to rise. The child is not an accessory to your healing. They are a partner in your restoration. What you're feeling is sacred fire. Burn away the distraction. Let clarity roar. You are no longer a wanderer. You are a name heaven never stopped calling. The journey ahead won't always feel holy. It'll feel lonely, disorienting. But that is the cost of walking with unseen maps. The child isn't waiting on the other side. They are walking beside you in spirit. They are not just a dream. They are memory in motion. You will feel their footsteps in your pauses, their breath in your boldness. And the moment you doubt yourself, recall their gaze. Recall the softness and the severity held in one look. That look wasn't made of fantasy, it was made of fire. Michael's tears watered something sacred. And now the roots are reaching. Your spirit is sprouting through the concrete of your old life. Don't stop it. Don't tame it. The echo in the child's eyes is now vibrating in your chest. You are the one who left. You are the one who returns. And heaven has cleared a path between you and the timeline that still remembers your name. Type I'm aligned with remembrance to get the blessing 9306. Not every delay is a denial. Some delays are sacred. Some are heaven's way of protecting what wasn't yet ready to be born. You thought it was over. You assumed too much time had passed. But the promise didn't die. It paused. A dream you abandoned. It didn't fall apart. It was held, suspended in a realm you couldn't access until now. Archangel Michael's tears weren't sorrow for what was lost. They were release. Release of what was once paused, now reactivated. The child you saw was proof that your calling never expired. It only waited. There's a blueprint hovering above you right now. You can't see it with your eyes, but your soul recognizes it. That's why you felt the urgency. That's why sleep feels short and your days feel stretched. Something invisible is pressing in. The promise is being handed back to you, but this time it comes with weight. You are no longer being invited to dream. You are being commanded to build. The time for wondering has ended. And now, the work begins. The child still believes. And because they do, you must too. Type I am reactivating the promise to get the blessing 8491. You may have blamed yourself for the delay. Maybe you walked away. Maybe you hesitated too long. Maybe the world convinced you it was too late. But Michael wept to correct that lie. Heaven never revokes a blueprint. It may be adjusted. It may be rerouted. But it is never discarded. The vision you buried is still alive, because it was never yours alone. The child in the dream was not symbolic of what could have been. They are the living memory of what still can be. Your timeline isn't closing. It's calling. You're beginning to notice the signs. Things you once tolerated now feel toxic. People you once relied on feel strangely absent. That's not coincidence. It's calibration. Heaven is moving everything around you to match what's been reignited within you. You are being asked to walk as if the promise has already begun. Even when there's no evidence. Even when no one believes. Your assignment requires blind obedience now. And that obedience will pull the blueprint down from the invisible and into form. Type I am walking in unseen obedience to get blessing 7764. The child is not asking you to be perfect. They are asking you to be present. Fully. Fully. Without apology. This is the cost of returning. You must walk past your old excuses. You must destroy the altar you built around delay. You must reclaim the fire that once burned in your chest. This isn't about proving anything to the world. It's about proving to yourself that what heaven planted in you still breathes, still pulses, still waits. The child remembers what you sound like when you speak from that fire. Speak again. There's a roar building in you now. You've quieted it for years, called it unrealistic, dramatic, unnecessary. But that roar is your true voice. And the child isn't just waiting to hear it. They're waiting to rise with it. When you speak, they come closer. When you believe again, they become clearer. They are not behind you. They are within reach. And when you finally take the step heaven's been urging, the dream won't just return. It will materialize. The pause is over. The promise is breathing. The vision is forming now. You may not see it all at once, but trust the rhythm. Keep walking. Keep writing. Keep building. The blueprint is responding to your consistency. The child you saw is not a remnant of pain. They are the symbol of perseverance. Heaven still remembers what you promised. And now, you're being asked to remember too. You are not too late. You are right on time for what's rising. If this word has touched your spirit and stirred a fresh sense of boldness within, we invite you to respond with a super thanks of $20. Your support allows us to continue offering prophetic insight, comfort, and strength to those navigating the journey from betrayal to breakthrough. You can also give through PayPal by clicking the Support Here link in the video description. Every gift, no matter the size, helps us reach more hearts with messages of hope, truth, and encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you stay connected to spirit-led direction, timely revelation, and words of life designed to uplift you in every season. Type "I am walking with divine timing" to get the blessing 9580. You never knew their name. Not in the dream. Not in waking life. But still, they carried a presence more powerful than words. Your silence was not absence. It was depth. This child, this spirit, this mirror, was never meant to be called by a human name. They were light. And light speaks differently. Archangel Michael didn't just cry over memory. He cried because heaven remembered what earth tried to erase. The child's name was never needed for them to carry weight. Their very essence was a continuation of a covenant, one that you are now being summoned to honor. Your hesitation has always been because you couldn't name what you were feeling. How can you explain the grief of something you've never held? How do you mourn what was never seen? But the child has always seen you. They've walked beside your spirit, nudging you forward when your body froze. They've carried what your hands dropped. Their strength was always there, just unnamed. Until now. Because heaven doesn't require vocabulary to validate vision. All it needs is your willingness to return to the light you were born from. Type "I am remembering the unnamed light" to get the blessing 9030. This is why things feel blurry. Why you can't explain what's shifting. Why you cry mid-sentence and feel fire mid-silence. You are not broken. You are awakening. The unnamed light inside you is burning through the layers of your false identity. It's dismantling every version of you that was built by fear. The child isn't waiting for the perfect version of you. They are waiting for the real one. The one who remembers how to trust the invisible. The one who moves when heaven whispers, not when man applauds. You've outgrown old timelines. That's why nothing fits anymore. The places you used to thrive now suffocate you. Conversations that once inspired you now drain you. You are no longer aligned with familiarity. You are aligned with destiny. The child's light is making room inside your body. That's why your hunger has changed. Why your sleep has shifted. You're being prepared for divine weight. And only what is pure can carry it. That's why some things are falling apart. It's not sabotage. It's separation. Type "I'm chosen to carry light" to get blessing 7999. You'll feel more drawn to silence now, but that doesn't mean isolation. It means calibration. Stillness is how the unnamed light teaches. You don't need to force the lesson. Just be present. Just allow. You may start seeing numbers, repeating signs, sudden clarity. The child's light is opening portals through memory. You may find yourself remembering moments from your youth, things you thought were random. They weren't. They were hints. Evidence that you've been walking with this presence longer than you realized. What if the child was never meant to be born through your body, but through your obedience? What if they are not a figure from your past, but a guide toward your future? The ache in your chest is not from loss. It's from alignment. The light is integrating. The veil is thinning. And every moment you choose alignment over anxiety, purpose over performance, the child steps closer. They are not behind you. They are in you. For me. Guiding. Becoming. Archangel Michael's tears were not about what never was. They were about what's about to be. He cried because heaven has waited long enough. The light has waited long enough. And now it's time. Adios for action, love for embodiment. You are not just remembering. You are becoming. Becoming the space where the child's light can dwell without apology, without fear, without delay. Walk as if heaven already sees it, because it does. Type I am becoming the fulfillment to get the blessing 9488. There's a mirror in the child's hands. You didn't notice it at first, because you were too focused on their face. But now it's clear, the child wasn't just looking at you. They were showing you something. Your reflection, not as you are now, but as you were before the layers, before the compromise, before the world taught you to shrink. The mirror doesn't show your flaws. It shows your fire, the original version of you, the one that dared to believe, the one who once walked with the certainty that they were meant to carry something divine. This mirror isn't for vanity. It's for restoration. It doesn't flatter. It calls forth. When you look into it, parts of you rise that you thought were gone. Boldness, verity, a holy defiance. The child has carried this mirror since the first moment you turned away from your calling, and they've been waiting to lift it high enough for you to see again. That's why the dream came now, not as a warning, but as a window, a second chance, a spiritual recall. Type I am returning to the mirror to get the blessing 8855. You've been mistaking this season for confusion, but it's actually exposure. The roles you played, the masks you wore, the narratives you accepted, they are all cracking. Because the mirror refuses to lie. The child's gaze is an invitation into truth, not performance, not potential. Truth. The kind that costs you comfort but gives you back your crown. And now, it's your turn to respond. The mirror won't wait forever. This window is sacred. And Archangel Michael knew it had to come now, before another year passed in hiding. The more you align, the more the mirror reveals. Not just who you are, but what you carry. You're not just someone with a dream. You're someone whose very presence was designed to trigger awakening in others. That's why people have misunderstood you. It wasn't your tone, it was your timing. You were sent early. The world wasn't ready when you arrived. But now the realm is shifting. The child's reflection shows it clearly. The world is growing for what you carry. It's time. Type I am the early arrival to get blessing 9662. This is why nothing has satisfied you lately. Success felt hollow. Approval felt empty. You weren't ungrateful. You were unaligned. Your spirit knew there was more. It remembered the mirror even when your mind forgot. But now everything is snapping into place. You're feeling the divine ache. The hunger that can't be filled by praise or comfort. Only purpose. Only fire. Only obedience. And the child is holding the frame steady, waiting for you to step fully into the image it reflects. Let go of the false reflections. The ones shaped by other people's fears. You were never meant to reflect what culture expected. You were meant to reflect what heaven embedded. The child has guarded that reflection for years. Waiting. Not judging. Not forcing. Waiting for your return. You don't need to explain yourself. You only need to respond. The mirror is ready. Your image is clear. And now, The movement begins, not from stage or spotlight, but from surrender. Michael's tears were a final baptism, a washing of what had a witness to what must come next. The child in your dream was not just remembering you. They were restoring you. Their mirror is not made of glass. It's made of glory. And your face is glowing in it again. Walk into it. Lie from it. You are no longer just remembering the child. You are becoming what they saw all along. Type I am restored by reflection to get the blessing 9007. There is a name the world never heard, but heaven still speaks it. It was whispered over you before you ever took your first breath. Not the name printed on documents or spoken in rooms of applause. This name is older than sound, etched in eternity. It carries the scent of destiny, and the child in your dream remembers it. That's why they looked at you with such clarity. They weren't just seeing your face, they were calling your name. The one you forgot. The one your purpose still responds to, even now. You may have felt it recently, a pull toward something nameless, a longing you couldn't explain. That wasn't emotion. That was identity realigning. The name you forgot is not gone. It's buried beneath the noise of survival, beneath the layers of who you tried to be. But the child remembers. They've spoken it while you slept. They've guarded it through every failure. When Archangel Michael cried, it was because the name was rising again, and with it, the timeline it was always tied to. Type I am rising in my true name to get the blessing 8112. The world convinced you to answer to labels you never chose. Too much. Too late. Too emotional. Too ambitious. These weren't names. They were cages. And the child has been waiting at the edge of each one, unlocking them as you dare to walk free. You were never to anything. You were always right on time. The name inside you carries no shame, only strategy. And it's being activated now. Not by volume, but by alignment. Not by proving, but by returning. You're not earning it. You're remembering it. The name isn't spoken in public. It's echoed in silence. You'll hear it when you sit in stillness. You'll feel it in the shift before decisions. You'll know it's close when strangers look at you like they've met you before. That's not coincidence. That's frequency. Your name carries a vibration. When it rises, rooms respond. Clocks shift. Delays dissolve. Because your real name isn't just identification. It's ignition. And now, the child is handing it back to you in pieces. Type I am reclaiming what was hidden to get blessing 7630. Don't rush this. The name reveals itself through obedience, not urgency. You'll know you're close when everything false begins to itch. When you can't tolerate old cycles. When you start grieving versions of yourself you used to defend. That grief isn't weakness. It's detox. It means the real you is pushing forward. The name inside you is larger than your performance. It will cost you personas you once survived through, but it will give you peace you can't fabricate. The child knows who you are. They always have. This name isn't new. It's ancient. It's what angels called you when you were just light. Before language. Before form. When heaven saw you as an assignment, not just a soul. That's why Archangel Michael didn't explain everything in words. Some truths can only be remembered through resonance. A name is not a label. It's a location. When you live from it, everything finds you. Resources. People. Doors. You won't chase, because what's aligned always returns. The child knows this. They've been waiting for you to know it too. This next phase of your life requires you to answer differently. Not to what the world calls you, but to what the realm has always whispered. When the child looked at you in that dream, they weren't surprised. They were relieved, because your real name had finally started to rise again. You may not know how to speak it, but it's already speaking through you. In your courage, in your stillness, in your yes. Walk in it now. Speak from it. Decide from it. Everything else will bend. If this word has touched your spirit and stirred a fresh sense of boldness within, we invite you to respond with a super thanks of $20. Your support allows us to continue offering prophetic insight, comfort, and strength to those navigating the journey from betrayal to breakthrough. You can also give through PayPal by clicking the support here link in the video description. Every gift, no matter the size, helps us reach more hearts with messages of hope, truth, and encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you stay connected to spirit-led direction, timely revelation, and words of life designed to uplift you in every season. Type I am answering the ancient call to get the blessing 9321. The moment you saw the child in the dream, the air changed. Not just in the dream, but around you, even after you woke. That wasn't imagination. It was a cross-current between timelines. What you felt was spiritual interference, two realities brushing against each other, each one fighting for your agreement. One timeline is built by fear, logic, delay. The other is divine, unseen, holy, waiting. The child never left. They live in the latter. And when you looked at them, you were breathing in the air of the life that almost disappeared. Archangel Michael's tears were not only for the child, they were for what you still haven't fully claimed. The breath you inhaled from that other timeline wasn't a dream. It was a preview. The promise has not passed. It has paused, suspended in light until your next act of obedience. And now, as your body walks forward in this timeline, your spirit is being pulled into that higher one. The child remembers who you are in both timelines, but only one will allow them to rise with you. You must choose. Not tomorrow. Now. Type I choose the divine timeline to get the blessing 9441. The struggle you feel right now isn't confusion, it's collision. You're standing at the fork between survival and sacred purpose. One path offers comfort, praise, and safety. The other requires sacrifice, clarity, and divine memory. The second path is heavier, but it's yours. That's why everything that doesn't belong is falling apart around you. The child's timeline won't allow clutter, only consecration. You've asked for confirmation. This is it. The fact that you're still reading, still sensing, still shaking, means you're ready. The timeline with the child is unfolding faster now. That's why time feels so strange. That's why you keep seeing numbers repeating, feeling like moments are both fleeting and eternal. That's the language of heaven. Earth speaks in hours, destiny speaks in echoes, and you are hearing them clearly now. The child lives where time serves the assignment, and every second you waste on delay pulls you further from that realm. This is not fear-based urgency. This is sacred timing demanding your presence. Type I am aligning with sacred time to get blessing 8890. You may feel disoriented. That's natural. Your mind is shedding the narrative of your old life, while your soul accelerates into the true one. Don't resist the dizziness. It's part of the realignment. When you left that dream, you didn't just wake up. You crossed back into this world carrying residue from the other. That's why things look duller now. Why conversations feel shallow. You've touched eternity, and everything temporary now feels weightless. The child's world is more real than the one you're standing in, and your spirit knows it. Heaven has begun rethreading your story. Archangel Michael didn't appear because you're weak. He appeared because the hour required remembrance. The child's eyes held more than memory, they held blueprint. And now it's in you. Don't return to business as usual. You've crossed into a divine disruption. Some people will say you've changed. Don't correct them. You have. You had to. The version of you they knew was only surviving. The version you're becoming is one that heaven has waited for. You are now the bridge between two versions of your own future. One leads to repeating cycles. The other leads to prophetic unfolding. The child lives in the latter. And with every step you take in that direction, the veil thins. You'll start seeing glimpses, not just in sleep, but while fully awake. Quick flashes, divine memory, familiar places you've never visited. That's not madness. That's alignment. You've already been there in spirit. Now it's time for your body and choices to follow. At.pm walking where I've already been to get the blessing 9719. You thought the gap was too wide, that too much time had passed, too many wounds had formed, too much silence stood between who you are now and who you were meant to be. But when you saw the child in the dream, they weren't far. They were right in front of you. No walls, no judgment. Just a presence, steady and sure. You thought you would have to climb mountains to reach them, but they never moved. They waited. The distance you feared wasn't between you and the child. It was between your obedience and your activation. Archangel Michael cried not because the bridge was broken, but because you didn't know it had already been rebuilt. You kept punishing yourself for every detour, every wrong turn, every delay. But what if I told you that every misstep was factored in? What if I told you heaven never lost track of you? Not once. The child didn't move away from you. They remained still so you could always find them again. They waited in the spirit realm with a patience only love could carry. They never left. And now you know. You never truly did either. At.pm returning across the bridge to get the blessing 9622. That's why everything feels so close now. Why dreams feel louder. Why silence feels sacred. The child is pulling your timeline back into alignment. You can feel it in the way your body responds to certain places. You can sense it in the way you no longer want to participate in what once fascinated you. You're not outgrowing people, you're outgrowing patterns. And every time you refuse to settle, the spiritual distance closes. The child recognizes you faster now. Your light is finally matching the one they never stopped guarding. Some of the fatigue you feel isn't from work, it's from carrying too many false versions of yourself for too long. The child doesn't want your performance. They want your presence. The moment you stop performing, the timeline starts wording. The moment you surrender instead of striving, the child steps forward. Not to greet you, but to walk with you. The dream wasn't symbolic. It was real. A prophetic appointment. And you're still in it. Even now. This is not aftermath. This is mid-transition. At.pm surrendering to realignment to get blessing 7740. This is why your emotions have been unpredictable. One moment you're grounded, the next undone. That's the weight of reconnection. You're not losing stability, you're regaining sensitivity. The child's presence softens the hard places you buried, and now the emotions come not to break you, but to cleanse you. You are being made new, not from scratch, but from memory. The parts of you that still work, the innocence that still breathes, the courage that still flickers. These are the tools. The dream was not an interruption. It was an instruction. The life you thought you missed is catching up to you. You will see places you once longed for arrive without warning. You will meet people your spirit already knows. You will hear phrases that sound like deja vu. That's not nostalgia. That's design. You were always meant to walk this path. And the child, they are not just the memory of a life that never was. They are the navigator, a witness, a bridge. They are what God kept safe while you wandered, and now they've handed it back. Michael wept not because of what you lost, but because of what you're finally stepping into. The moment you stop resisting the return, everything accelerates. The child has already forgiven what you condemned. The bridge is already lit. A life is already forming. You're not behind. You're in sync. Walk forward, not with shame, but with fire. The child in your dream remembers you because they never left the place where your promise was still alive. Type I am moving without delay to get the blessing 9183. There are spirits that wander, and there are spirits that wait. The child in your dream was never lost. They waited. For years, through detours, through silence. They refused to forget what heaven declared over you, even when you forgot it yourself. Your presence wasn't born of nostalgia. It was born of assignment. You weren't just visited by a soul. You were recalled by a covenant. That's why Archangel Michael didn't just speak, he wept. Because the moment had finally arrived. The memory was activated. The return had begun. You don't remember all the details, but your soul does. The first yes. The moment you opened your hands to something bigger than yourself. The child never forgot that yes. They were formed inside of it. Not in your womb, but in your calling. They are not a loss. They are the living echo of who you promised to become. They are the fruit of obedience you paused but never canceled. And now, heaven has placed them in your path again, not as judgment, but as confirmation. Type I am reuniting with my yes to get the blessing 8833. This is why your restlessness has intensified. Why even peace feels too quiet. You're not restless because something is wrong. You're restless because something is rising. The life you left behind is pressing forward. It will allow you to settle in a more. Not in patterns. Not in people. Not in positions. The child is not waiting for a better version of you. They are walking toward the real one. The raw one. The unmasked one. The one who doesn't need explanation to move, just revelation. And the revelation is this. You were never disqualified. You were delayed by divine timing. What you called failure, heaven called formation. And now, with the child's presence still imprinted in your chest, you're being invited back into the moment before you gave up. You're not going backward. You're standing in a circle of completion. The dream wasn't just about them. It was about you. About what was preserved. About what refused to die even when you stopped feeding it. Type I am completing the circle to get blessing 9555. You will see signs in the coming days. Flickers in the corner of your eye. Numbers you've never seen before. Words spoken by strangers that feel like messages. Don't dismiss them. The child's memory is guiding you now. They are not done speaking. They are just getting started. This is not a season of recovery. It is a season of reactivation. You are not being restored to who you were. You are being unmailed into who you've always been. The timeline is moving beneath your feet. Walk boldly. Some will misunderstand your shift. Let them. What you are walking into is not for public consumption. It is sacred. There will be moments you can't articulate, visions that make no sense, emotions that rise without context. You're not breaking. You're remembering. You're merging timelines. And in the merging, you'll feel the child's spirit moving through you, not haunting, but harmonizing, not mourning, but manifesting. They are not gone. They are now. Michael didn't cry because of sorrow. He cried because of glory, because the light that hovered over your life before you were born has returned. The child never needed your perfection. They needed your permission, and you've just given it. What happens next will not be loud. It will be layered, personal. Only, the dream has not ended. It has begun. You are no longer running toward the child. You are running with them. Type I am in union with my purpose to get the blessing 9390. This entire journey was never about fixing what was broken. It was about remembering what never stopped breathing. The child in your dream didn't appear to haunt you. They came to remind you. Their memory was not trapped in grief. It was anchored in glory. They didn't accuse you for leaving the path. They stood quietly at the edge of your turning point, knowing you would one day return. And now you have. Not as the same version of yourself, but as someone refined by fire, forged by time, and finally ready to step into what has always waited for you. Archangel Michael didn't cry for a life that ended. He cried for the life that's beginning now. A life aligned with the divine blueprint, unshaken by fear, unchained from the past, and awakened to the now. You may still feel fragments of uncertainty, but that's natural when light first enters places that have been dormant. Don't wait for full understanding to move forward. Move with what you know. The child still remembers you, and heaven still believes in you. That is enough. That is everything. You are no longer waiting for restoration. You are walking in it. The tears, the dreams, the visions, they were not scattered signs. They were sacred confirmations. This isn't the end of your encounter. This is the birth of a new reality. The child you saw was not a metaphor. They were a messenger, sent to collapse time, realign purpose, and remind your bones of their original sound. You are not late. You are not lost. You are right on time for the unfolding. As you go forward, the dream may visit you again. It may look different. Feel deeper. Don't resist it. Let it come. Let it lead. Because now, every step you take from this day forward will echo with the memory of the child who never stopped believing. And with Archangel Michael watching, you are surrounded. You are seen. You are sealed. This moment, this remembering, is your resurrection. And no force in this world can undo what heaven just wrote. If this word has touched your spirit and stirred a fresh sense of boldness within, we invite you to respond with a super thanks of $20. Your support allows us to continue offering prophetic insight, comfort, and strength to those navigating the journey from betrayal to breakthrough. You can also give through PayPal by clicking the support here link in the video description. Every gift, no matter the size, helps us reach more hearts with messages of hope, truth, and encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you stay connected to spirit-led direction, timely revelation, and words of life designed to uplift you in every season. Type I am sealed in my remembering to get the blessing 10,001.